You're not seeing this by chance. This isn't random scrolling or a quirk of the algorithm. You've landed here because something in your life is about to shift. At this very moment, your reality is rearranging itself in ways that will take your breath away. What I'm about to share is like the last door before a breakthrough. There's a signal, a wavelength, that almost nobody taps into. Yet you're here. That means you've already crossed the first threshold. The only question now is, will you step through the opening that's right in front of you? Most people spend their whole lives waiting for proof that their dreams are real, checking bank accounts, watching relationships, looking for some external sign. But the universe has been whispering something different all along. Every delay, every closed door, every quiet moment wasn't absence. It was preparation. You've arrived at what physicists call the collapse point. The instant when infinite possibilities narrow into one lived reality. Every meditation, every vision, every time you chose faith over fear has brought you right here, right now. You're standing on the edge of your own becoming. Think about this. In quantum mechanics, particles exist in all states at once until someone observes them. Consciousness chooses the outcome. Your dreams and desires work the same way. They've been sitting in that field of possibility, waiting for the perfect moment to drop into your physical world. That moment is moving toward you as surely as the sunrise. Why people miss their breakthrough? Here's where most people fall short. Right at the edge of receiving what they asked for. They get anxious. They grip tighter. They keep checking for evidence, refreshing their inbox, looking for proof. But that's backwards. At the final stage, manifestation asks for something that feels almost opposite to action. Complete energetic release. Nature models this perfectly. A seed never worries about turning into a tree. It doesn't track its progress or create backup plans. It surrenders to the same intelligence that spins planets and choreographs atoms. That's the frequency you're being called into. And here's the cosmic twist. Everything you've been searching for has been moving toward you with the same intensity. While you've been wondering if your prayers are heard, the universe has been lining up events with perfect precision. The timing isn't late. It's tuned to your soul's exact rhythm. The shift happens when you realize that letting go isn't giving up on your dream. It's letting go of the rigid picture of how it must look. When you loosen that grip, you give life the space to deliver something even greater than you imagined. This is where the principle of quantum entanglement stops being an idea and starts becoming your lived experience. In quantum physics, when two particles become entangled, distance doesn't matter. They stay linked, instantly influencing each other beyond space and time. Your own awareness is now entangled with your desires. The moment you truly release your grip, the invisible threads connecting you to what you want start humming with the energy of receiving instead of the energy of wanting. Wanting energy repels. It comes from a feeling of lack, from the belief you don't yet have what you're asking for. Receiving energy attracts. It springs from abundance, from the knowing that what's yours already exists in the quantum field, waiting to become visible. Pause for a breath and feel this truth. You're not trying to take something from the universe. You're allowing the universe to hand something to you. That single shift changes your entire energetic signature. Instead of transmitting need, you begin transmitting readiness. And readiness is the frequency that collapses possibilities into lived reality. Now your mind may already be arguing, saying why this can't apply to you, why your situation is different. why you've waited too long. This resistance isn't your enemy. It's the last gatekeeper, testing whether you're ready to rise into a higher octave of yourself. Every hero's journey has this moment, the final challenge before the treasure is revealed. All the strength you've built through disappointment, through staying in faith when there was no evidence, is about to pay off. The universe doesn't work on human clocks. What looks like delay is actually precise orchestration. Behind the scenes, people are moving into place, resources are gathering, opportunities are ripening. The field of possibility is reconfiguring itself around your highest good. That's why surrender feels both scary and freeing. You're not just releasing control over outcomes. You're letting go of the illusion that you ever had control at all. You're stepping into partnership with the same force that beats your heart and grows your hair while you sleep. Instead of picturing the thing you want, picture yourself as someone who naturally receives what they want. See yourself moving through life with quiet confidence, knowing you're supported. Feel what it's like to be a person for whom manifestation flows easily, not because you're special, but because you're aligned. This identity shift is the secret of the few who actually live their desires. Most people think of themselves as trying to manifest. You're being invited to see yourself as someone who naturally draws their desires because they match the frequency of receiving. Right now, pause and affirm, I am ready to receive what's already mine. Don't type or speak it casually. Feel it. Let it be a declaration to the quantum field that you're stepping out of wanting and into receiving. That signal tells the universe you're prepared for what's arriving. When you hold this receiving frequency, synchronicities begin to cascade. A book falls off a shelf at the perfect moment. A conversation appears out of nowhere that changes your path. An opportunity lands that seems impossible but is actually the universe finally having a clear channel to deliver what it's been holding for you. What no one mentions about manifestation is this. The last stage before breakthrough often looks like nothing is happening, but that nothing is actually everything happening. Reality is reorganizing. Your desires are moving from possibility to probability to inevitability. This stillness before birth isn't emptiness, it's pregnancy. It's the sacred pause before something new enters the world. Most people mistake it for failure and give up. You're not going to make that mistake. Understanding frequency accelerates all of this. Gratitude vibrates around 540 hertz. Love at 528. Joy at 540. Fear sits near 100. Doubt near 125. Every thought and emotion broadcasts a measurable electromagnetic signal into the quantum field. When you align your personal frequency with your desire's frequency, you create what physicists call constructive interference. The waves amplify each other instead of canceling out. Every feeling either tunes you closer to your desires or adds static to the signal. That's why mindfulness matters now. It's not about forcing positivity. It's about being aware of what you're broadcasting and consciously choosing which energies to amplify. Resistance will still appear, sometimes disguised as busyness, draining relationships, or sudden tests of faith. This isn't sabotage. It's the old reality making one last attempt to keep you in patterns that no longer fit. Here's the key to moving through it. Don't fight it, don't feed it. Notice it like clouds drifting across the sky. Temporary, not permanent. Stay anchored in your chosen frequency regardless of what storms pass through. When you're truly aligned, inspired action flows on its own. This isn't the forced action born of fear. It's effortless movement born of partnership with universal intelligence. You'll find yourself in the right place at the right time without trying. Conversations will open doors you didn't even know were there. Resources arrive exactly when you're ready for them. You can feel the difference between forced action and inspired action in your body. Forced action creates tightness, pressure, and burnout. Inspired action feels light, energizing, and aligned, like moving with the current instead of swimming against it. If what you're hearing lands in your bones, if some part of you recognizes the truth behind these words, then don't just subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to this way of living. Hit that button as a personal commitment to stay tuned to a wavelength where synchronicities are normal and miracles feel routine. Learning to trust perfect timing is your new superpower. Every spiritual tradition talks about divine timing because it's not a cliché. It's a fundamental principle of manifestation. Seeds don't sprout the day they're planted. Babies don't arrive the day they're conceived. Your dreams won't appear the moment you think them, but they will emerge at the perfect time for the greatest impact and the least resistance. Delays aren't denials. They're sacred incubation periods, while unseen forces arrange everything for the best possible outcome. What looks like the universe ignoring you is often the universe setting you up for something better than you first imagined. Trust the intelligence orchestrating your life, even when you can't see the full pattern yet. Gratitude is a powerful amplifier, but only when used in its true form. Instead of appreciating to get more, appreciate as proof to yourself that you already live in an abundant universe. This small shift turns gratitude from a tactic into genuine recognition. And genuine recognition aligns you with the truth that the universe is inherently generous. You stop seeing yourself as someone who has to earn abundance and start seeing yourself as someone who naturally receives it. Visualization also transforms when you stop trying to force something into existence and start remembering what already exists in the quantum field. Your desires aren't distant goals. They're present realities in a field of potential, waiting for you to collapse them into form. So don't visualize to persuade the universe. Visualize to remember what's already yours. Feel the energy of living your desired reality, not as a future hope, but as a present access point. This remembering creates coherence between who you think you are and who you're becoming. Movement and embodiment accelerate this process because they let your body express the energy of your desires. Desires aren't just thoughts. They're energetic signatures wanting to flow through you physically. You don't have to dance or practice yoga, though you can. Just begin moving as someone who naturally receives what they desire. Walk like someone who trusts life. Sit like someone who knows their dreams are already on the way. Breathe like someone who feels supported. Everything we've covered crystallizes here. You're being invited to step into a new identity, not later, not after proof arrives, but now. The version of you who naturally receives isn't a future version. It's a present moment choice. Every time you think, feel, or act from this elevated identity, you strengthen the quantum link between where you are and what you want. You literally rewire your nervous system to expect flow instead of struggle. This is the difference between trying to manifest from your old self and rising to meet the level of being that matches your dreams. Most people try to drag their desires down to their current identity. You're being invited to lift your identity up to your desires. Take a moment now and write one word in the comments that captures the energy of who you're becoming. Not who you've been, not who you hope to be, but who you're choosing to embody today. Let this word act as your signature in the quantum field, your declaration of the frequency you're broadcasting. This isn't just personal. Every time you choose receiving over wanting, you add to a collective field that makes it easier for others to choose it too. Your personal transformation is a contribution to humanity's awakening. That's why timing matters. You're not only manifesting private goals, you're participating in an evolutionary process where humans learn to co-create consciously with universal intelligence. Your breakthrough becomes a beacon for others who are ready for theirs. What we've touched on here is only the foundation. There's an entire quantum map of 9 master frequencies that explain how consciousness shapes reality. In my full guide, Beyond the Frequencies, a quantum guide to consciousness mastery, I break down the practices for moving from unconscious manifestation to becoming the broadcast itself, shifting from seeking to being. You'll find the link in the pinned comment if you're ready to explore the full system. As we wrap up our time together, I want to leave you with this. Everything you've been searching for has also been searching for you. Every prayer you've whispered, every dream you've carried, every moment you've chosen faith over fear, none of it has been wasted. It's all been building to this moment of recognition. You've never been separate from what you desire. The gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't distance, it's frequency. And frequency can shift in an instant, the moment you choose it. That power has always been yours. The only question is how ready you are to use it. So don't just subscribe to stay connected. Subscribe to stay aligned with this frequency of conscious creation. The more of us who live knowing we are co-creators with universal intelligence, the more the world reflects that back to us through synchronicities, opportunities, and effortless manifestations. Let's go a little deeper into what's actually happening in your field right now. In quantum physics, there's a phenomenon called quantum tunneling. Particles can pass through barriers that should be impossible to cross, according to classical physics. Your consciousness is about to do the same, slipping through what once felt like solid walls of limitation. This is why breakthroughs often feel sudden. They're not. They've been building for months, even years. One day you're stuck in the same old patterns, and the next day they're simply gone. Not because you slowly overcame them, but because your awareness shifted into a version of reality where those limitations never existed. And here's the extraordinary part. The version of you without those limitations isn't someone you have to become. It's someone you remember. In the quantum field, all possible versions of you exist right now. The struggling one, the abundant one, the confident one, the one living your dream life. All of them are real. All of them are available. Transformation isn't about changing who you are. It's about choosing which version of yourself you activate with your awareness. Right now, there's a version of you living your ideal life with ease and natural abundance. This isn't fantasy or wishful thinking. It's quantum mechanics. Every possible configuration of your life already exists as a potential reality, waiting for you to observe it into experience. You're hearing this now because the barriers between these versions of you are thinning. The walls between timelines are dissolving. You're being prepared to consciously shift from one reality to another. This isn't just a metaphor. It's literally how reality operates at the quantum level. And here's what's even more fascinating. The version of you already living your desired reality has been sending signals back through time. Those little nudges, those sudden insights, those gut feelings that made no logical sense. Those weren't random. They were transmissions from your future self, guiding you toward the timeline where you merge into one coherent identity. Every time you felt drawn to a choice, to a place, to a person, when logic couldn't explain why, you were following the map your expanded self had already drawn. And now those signals are stronger than ever because you're close to the merger. What you're feeling right now, the sense that something big is about to shift, is your consciousness beginning to phase lock with your desired timeline. In physics, phase locking happens when two oscillating systems synchronize their frequencies. That's what's happening with you. Your current reality is synchronizing with the frequency of your chosen reality. This creates what scientists call a phase transition, a sudden reorganization where a system jumps from one stable state to another, like water suddenly freezing into ice, like a caterpillar suddenly becoming a butterfly. It seems instant, but it's the result of energy quietly building to a tipping point where the new state becomes inevitable. You're approaching that threshold. Every meditation, every moment you've chosen love over fear, every time you trusted your inner knowing despite outside evidence, all of it has been building quantum coherence in your field. You're no longer just hoping for change. You're actively phase transitioning into a new level of reality. Here's where science starts to feel like poetry. When a system crosses a tipping point and enters a phase transition, something called emergence happens. New patterns appear, properties that didn't exist in the old state and couldn't have been predicted from its pieces alone. They arise naturally when complexity reaches a critical mass. You're about to experience your own emergence. Abilities you didn't know you had will surface. Opportunities that were once invisible will stand out. People aligned with your highest path will show up effortlessly. Resources will start flowing through channels you never could have mapped out ahead of time. This isn't because you've suddenly gotten better at manifesting. It's because you're stepping into a version of reality where what you desire is already normal. In this new configuration, abundance doesn't feel like effort. It's simply how energy moves when nothing inside you is blocking its natural flow. If this perspective is shifting how you see reality, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. It keeps you plugged into this frequency of consciousness exploration and helps more people find these transmissions exactly when they're ready for them. Now let's talk about something most manifestation teachings miss: the role of what quantum physicists call decoherence. Decoherence happens when a quantum system loses its unified state and collapses into a single, limited outcome. That's exactly what happens in your manifestation process when you let external noise dominate your internal state. Every time you check your bank account to see if the money has arrived, you're creating decoherence. Every time you scan your environment for proof that your desire is materializing, you're collapsing possibility back into the limitation of your current state. Ironically, the act of looking for evidence can interrupt the very thing you're trying to sustain. This is why the last phase before a breakthrough so often feels like what mystics call the dark night of the soul, and physicists call the quantum vacuum state. It's a stage where you must hold your coherence without external feedback, where you trust the process without seeing proof. This isn't a test of faith. It's protection from premature decoherence. Let me give you a picture that will change how you see this. In quantum field theory, there's a concept called virtual particles. They flicker into existence and then vanish so quickly they can't be directly observed, but their effects can be measured on the particles around them. Your desires are doing the same thing right now. They're appearing and disappearing as virtual manifestations in the quantum field of your life. Too subtle for ordinary awareness, but already shaping your reality. Every synchronicity you notice, every unexpected opportunity, every burst of clarity or joy is evidence of these virtual manifestations interacting with your world. I'd love to hear from you. In the comments, share a moment when you felt reality shifting, an uncanny synchronicity, a breakthrough that arrived right on time. Your stories help all of us recognize the quantum field at work in our lives. As you approach culmination, these virtual manifestations will start holding their shape longer and longer until they finally stabilize as physical reality. What seems like a sudden manifestation is actually the final stabilization of something that's been flickering in and out for weeks or months. This changes everything about how you view the manifestation timeline. You're not waiting for something to start. You're waiting for something already happening to become steady enough to see with your senses. Your desires aren't traveling towards you from somewhere else. They're already here. They're not coming to you from somewhere else. They're solidifying out of the quantum field that already interpenetrates your current reality. Now let's explore something physicists call entanglement entropy and how it plays into your transformation. When quantum systems become entangled, they share information instantly, no matter how far apart they are. But there's a tipping point where that entanglement becomes so complex, it reaches what's called maximal entropy. At that point, the system either collapses or reorganizes at a higher level of complexity. That's exactly where your consciousness is right now. You've become maximally entangled with your desired reality. The exchange of information between your current self and your expanded self has reached critical mass. You can't return to the old level of complexity anymore. The only way forward is emergence into a higher order of being. This is why your life may feel chaotic or confusing in places. Systems going through a phase transition always pass through a period of apparent disorder before reorganizing at a higher level. It isn't breakdown, it's breakthrough preparation. Your reality is dismantling outdated structures so it can build new configurations that can actually hold your expanded identity. The key to moving through this gracefully is realizing that chaos isn't the opposite of order. It's the fertile ground from which new orders emerge. Instead of trying to control or fix the disorder, your work is to stay centered in the eye of the storm, trusting that intelligent reorganization is happening even when you can't yet see the pattern. Here's a simple practice to help you maintain coherence during this transition. Begin each morning by consciously choosing which version of yourself you want to animate with your attention. Not the version reacting to your current circumstances, the version already living the timeline where your desires are reality. Spend a few quiet minutes feeling into that expanded version. How does this version move through the world? What does this version notice? How does this version respond to challenges? What does this version take for granted that your current self still sees as extraordinary? As you embody that identity throughout your day, you're literally training your nervous system to expect the reality that matches it. You're creating new neural pathways to support the quantum timeline you're stepping into. This isn't positive thinking or daydreaming. This is identity coherence training at the neurological level. And here's why it's so powerful. Your nervous system can't tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and an actual experience. When you consistently embody your expanded identity, your biology begins to build the foundation for that identity to become your lived reality. Where most people sabotage this process is by embodying their expanded identity for a few minutes in the morning, and then spending the rest of the day reacting from their old patterns. This creates what physicists call destructive interference, where the waves of your expanded identity cancel out the waves of your contracted identity. True manifestation mastery isn't about being positive all the time or pretending everything is perfect. It's about maintaining identity coherence, consistently choosing thoughts, emotions, and actions that align with the version of yourself that naturally lives your desired reality. Every choice point in your day is a vote for which timeline you'll collapse into experience. When you choose the response your expanded self would choose, you strengthen the quantum coherence of that timeline. When you choose the reaction your contracted self would choose, you reinforce the patterns that keep you limited. Take a moment right now to reflect on a pattern you're ready to release. Drop one word in the comments that represents what you're letting go of as you step into your new timeline. That conscious declaration creates momentum in the quantum field. This isn't about controlling every thought or monitoring every emotion. It's as simple as asking yourself at each decision point, what would the version of me living my desired reality choose right now? Trust the first answer you feel. Don't analyze or second-guess it. Your expanded self communicates through intuition, not through mental debate. The more you trust these intuitive nudges and act on them, the stronger the communication channel becomes between your current self and your expanded self. As that channel strengthens, you'll start to feel like you're living two lives at once. Part of you still navigating your current reality with its apparent limits. Another part of you experiencing the freedom and abundance of your desired reality more and more clearly. This dual perception is a sign the merger is close. You're not losing your mind. You're becoming aware of multiple dimensional frequencies at once. That's exactly what happens when consciousness prepares to make a quantum leap. During this phase, your job is to give more attention and energy to the frequency of your expanded reality than to the frequency of limitation. Notice when you're tasting the freedom and abundance of your desired timeline, and consciously amplify those moments through appreciation and presence. Notice when you get stuck in the limitations of your current timeline. Don't fight it. Don't judge it. Just gently shift your focus. This isn't about pretending your challenges don't exist. It's about choosing where you put your attention and energy. What you feed with your attention grows. What you stop feeding slowly fades away. Right now, the universe is lining up the timeline you've been calling in. But it needs your cooperation. Your role isn't to force it into being. It's to hold the frequency of that reality so that when it collapses into form, you're already aligned with it. Think of it like tuning a radio. The music's already playing, but you have to dial in to the right frequency to hear it. Your desires are broadcasting on their own frequency. Your job is to tune your consciousness to match them. That's what your spiritual practices, your mindfulness, and your growth have been doing all along. Every time you've chosen love over fear, trust over doubt, expansion over contraction, you've been fine-tuning yourself to receive the signal of the reality you want. And here's the extraordinary part. As you're reading this, your brain is literally rewiring itself. Neuroscientists call it neuroplasticity, but what's really happening is consciousness reshaping matter. Every insight that lands, every aha you feel, is a new neural pathway forming. These aren't just passing thoughts. They're permanent changes, the biological foundation for your expanded reality to become your lived experience. Your nervous system is downloading new software right now. Software that knows how to navigate quantum realities. Software that recognizes abundance as natural. Software that sees synchronicity as normal communication from the universe. This integration will keep deepening in the hours and days ahead, especially as you sleep and your brain consolidates these new patterns. This timing isn't random. Your consciousness had to reach a certain level to take this in without overwhelm. The fact that you're here, resonating with these words, is proof you've reached that threshold. This isn't just intellectual understanding, it's quantum recognition. Your consciousness is remembering frequencies it once knew, long before it learned to limit itself to fit into collective reality. That's why it feels so powerful. You're not learning something new, you're remembering something ancient. Your soul has been waiting for this. The return of your natural awareness, the restoration of your manifesting abilities. And now the signal is clearer than ever. The static is fading. The music of your dreams is becoming audible. All that's left is to fully surrender to the frequency you've been seeking. Trust that everything you've ever wanted is already playing in the quantum field, waiting for you to tune in and receive it. You're not just watching a video, you're receiving a transmission. What you're hearing isn't just information, it's frequency. It will keep working in your field long after you close this page. Every word, every concept that resonates, every spark of recognition you feel right now is your expanded self confirming you're on the right path. These aren't new ideas, they're reminders. Your soul already knows how reality works at its deepest levels. Your mind just forgot. The more you return to these reminders, the stronger your quantum coherence becomes. And the stronger your quantum coherence, the faster your desired timeline collapses into your lived experience. This isn't slow, linear manifestation where you wait years for change. This is quantum manifestation, where everything can reorganize in an instant. Watch this transmission again tomorrow morning to reinforce the patterns. Each viewing deepens the neural pathways that support your new reality. And if someone in your life is ready to understand how consciousness shapes reality, share this video. That simple act creates an energetic ripple that accelerates manifestation for both of you by expanding the collective field of awareness. Trust what's unfolding. Embrace what's coming. Step into the receiving frequency. It's your natural birthright. The universe is conspiring in your favor in ways you can't even imagine. Your breakthrough is closer than your next breath. This is the beginning of everything you've been preparing for. Until we meet again in this space of infinite possibility, remember, you already are everything you're trying to become. The only thing left is to remember that truth and live from it. Every breath, every choice, every moment. And when you're ready to go deeper, there's another transmission waiting, one that explains why quantum manifestation actually works backwards from everything you've been taught. Understanding this reverse manifestation process will transform how you approach creating your reality. It's the counterintuitive mechanism that makes manifestation effortless instead of forced.